Okay, welcome in. I thought I would do this as a live stream. I was going to do it as just a pre-recorded video, just to give updates. But there's actually quite a little bit of media that I want to go through, so I thought, what the heck, I might as well just do it as a live stream. So good to see people coming in. Quick recap on this case for anyone who may not have caught my live stream yesterday morning. I think it was yesterday that I did this. And I realised that, first of all, I gave out some misinformation yesterday. So I said that this was the 1st of July that this little girl went missing. But, again, it's that whole confusion between Australian timelines and American timelines. It was actually 30th of June that she was reported missing. So that's one correction I need to make. Another correction that I need to make, clearly I was not at my best yesterday. The other correction that I need to make, and this is clearly from me misinterpreting an article, I thought that when they were talking about FBI and SLED, I thought SLED was like their FBI division, but it's not. That's their state investigation. So that's actually, as I said before, South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, which is not FBI. So they've actually got like the big guns from within the state and FBI on this case. So just a correction on that, because clearly I made a mistake. It does get confusing. I do this quite often with cases where if I'm on the case really early on, then I get the days confused. Kylie Rodney's case, I mean, that was a case that I spent so many hours on, and yet I still get, I have to stop and in my head recalibrate what the dates were in terms of when she went missing and when she went found, because I was following it in real time. So for me, you know, she was found on the 22nd of August, but I think if you look at the records, it will say 21st of August. I'm kind of human, yeah. I have my moments. Now, I should probably also mention, since it's the evening, you might hear some snoring in the background. That's my chihuahua, Amira, who has had dinner. She's got herself a couple of dog biscuits that are just sitting on the bed in front of her for when she's ready to eat them. And now it's nap time. So you may hear snoring in the background. It's just Amira. That's part of the course with her. That's just what she does. It's just normal. Anyone who's been following my channel for a while is no doubt familiar with the sound of Amira's snoring. And in fact, she seems to be stepping it up while I'm talking about it, which also seems to be part of the course. It's like the moment I start talking, I have to compete with her snoring. I know that with now that I've got a pop filter on my mic, I think that kind of takes away some of the sound. But you can probably still hear her. So that's my dog, Amira. Okay, so for anyone who's not familiar with this case, I'll bring you up to speed with what we know. And then, yes, exactly, with the court cases coming up. And I'm covering so many, like there are so many cases that I'm following that all the dates just get muddled up in my head. I don't know what day's what in terms of court cases. I keep missing dates of court appearances, and I try to be organised, but I haven't found a really good system. I thought that I had bought myself a little desk size whiteboard that was like a vertical whiteboard that I could sit on my desk and I could jot all the dates on there. But when it arrived, it was actually A4 size and too big to go on my desk. So I haven't got myself with a routine yet in terms of the best way of keeping track of court dates. I do have a whiteboard on my trolley next to my desk. I have a program on my MacBook and a program on my iPad, all of which I've tried to use to keep up with court dates, and I still don't quite keep up. It's hard when the dates keep changing, and it's also hard because, like you said, for us, the dates are different, so you have to do the whole calculation in your head. So, you're sitting there thinking, okay, it's the 7th, and then you realise, actually, no, it's not going to be the 7th for us. So things like that just make it challenging. So in this case, Javeahya actually went missing on the 30th of June, not the 1st of July. So for anyone who I may have confused the other day or yesterday, whenever it was, when I did the live stream about this, I had the dates wrong. Okay, so just a quick recap of her case. And I'm just going to say, the more we hear, the more I just think red flags full on. I now have audio of the interview that her father did, which I'll be playing later on in this live stream. And I think I will also double back and maybe tomorrow do that as a recorded analysis kind of thing. We'll see how I go tonight. Then throw in an Aussie case, miss the dose because they keep adding a day. Yep. It is so confusing. It really is. So this is in Aiken County, South Carolina, and Javeahya Harris is 4 years old. She lives with her father, who appears to be her biological father, and with her mother. Now, her mother was heavily pregnant at the time that Javeahya went missing, went into labour early, it seems, and had the new baby the same night that Javeahya was reported missing. The story is that she was last seen in her pajamas, in her Minnie Mouse pajamas, outside playing with the chickens at 8:15 in the evening. Problem is, there's been 2 versions of that, and there was also mention of it happening around 8:30 in the evening. While this was going on, the father was allegedly at the laundromat, but also apparently he was running around town looking for lollies to buy for Javeahya that she specifically wanted. Because who doesn't like to buy their 4-year-old lollies at 8:30 at night when you don't really want to get them high on sugar, because you would rather put them in bed and have them sleep? Now, one of the things we calculated yesterday is that sunset would have been around 8:41, I think, meaning that the chickens would have been roosting by the time this little girl is allegedly outside playing with them. So that makes no sense whatsoever. Also, the fact that she's in her pajamas. Like, who lets their 4-year-old go out in pajamas and play around in a manky chook pen before bed? Just doesn't add up for me at all. The father turned up about 9 o'clock, apparently, claimed that he saw all the police cars and thought, well, that his partner must have got into labour, and that, because she couldn't call out because they didn't have reception there, so she must have called 911. In what world are you going to have a bunch of police cars turn up for someone who's in labour? Doesn't happen, doesn't work. So there's that. There hasn't been any sighting of her. There hasn't been any mention of anything in terms of an abduction. In fact, it sounds like they are steering away from any suggestion of an abduction. I was listening to the father's interview earlier on when I was just kind of pre-recording it, and there's red flags throughout, which so much of what he says sounds like it's been scripted by multiple people that we've already heard of. Now, they had roadblocks up for pretty much 2 days. So certainly no one would have gone out of the county with this child. Yeah, 911 would have a dispatch, surely. I think that's how it works. Yeah, it's certainly not, and we clarified afterwards that the mother didn't go into labour until after the child went missing. So it wasn't any confusion over the mother going into labour and then things kind of going crazy. So I jotted down some things from yesterday's live stream that stood out to me that I wanted to just mention again. So first of all, I was talking about them having drones and helicopters out with FLIR technology. And I was saying, well, with the heat, that would make it more difficult. But then it twigged tonight. I realised tonight, they were there pretty much straight away. Must be, I guess because it's not a rural area, it's a close proximity. So they were onto this pretty much straight away. I mean, clearly, if it was reported at 8:43 and there were already police cars there when the father got home at around 9 o'clock, they would have been there pretty much straight away. They had the helicopter up pretty much straight away, and they had drones up. The thing is, when you're doing searches, you usually do searches with helicopters and drones after dark, because that's when the FLIR technology is going to be at its best, because that's when things cool down, so you don't have the heat interference from, being outside in the sun in the heat. Meaning, if they had, and it sounds like they did, if they had the helicopter up through the night searching using FLIR technology and they didn't find her, she's not out there. But the other thing is, the latest update is that they are now scaling back the search, and we're only 3 days in. That tells us everything we need to know. We've been there. We know the story. So just a few quotes from the sheriff from the first press conference. Yeah, drones and helicopters are helpful through the day. But FLIR technology is most efficient at night time because you don't get heat interference, so you don't get trees that have absorbed heat in the sun and stuff like that. So it just means that if this little girl's gone missing at around 8:15 at night, that means they've had at least 12 hours of cooler weather to get out there with the drones and the helicopter and search for her. Meaning, if they were out there, if she was out there, they had to have found her. 3 days, scaling back the search, massive, massive. That tells us everything we need to know, sadly. And with that in mind, and I will get to that, there's actually a statement from law enforcement. But I just want to go over a few things that were said in that first press conference that to me were red flags. So first of all, when they were talking about having a website just for uploading videos, and the main thing that they seemed to want from people was videos. And in terms of the wording of that, they wanted videos that I'll come back to that because I can't find that bit. It is very early. I mean, Jack and Lilly were 6 days, and we were saying that was a heck of an early time to scale it back. 3 days, I reckon they've got something on camera. Because if you remember, he said we've already got camera footage. He was like, we've got a website where we want people to upload videos that may help with this case, and I can't remember the wording there. And he made that comment. We want to ensure you that we will capture any and every image that may be valuable to our investigation. That's not something that you put out there for a child that's wandered off. That's a warning for someone. We're onto you. We're going to basically have you. Probably having looked at the area, possibly not a lot of home cameras, possibly not a lot of dash cams. It depends though, because I guess if it's a high crime area, maybe some people still have home cameras. But they certainly seem to have been saying that they had quite a lot of footage. So we had that whole warning of, we will capture any and every image. Also, we had them basically saying, we don't want help with the search. And he specifically said, we have trained personnel and assets that know the procedures. Again, if it's a search for a missing child, if they believe that she had wandered off, then in terms of procedures, that doesn't become something where they're like, we don't want the public here. If they truly believe that she had wandered off, then they might have limited areas and say, we want people to stay out of this area, but you can search these other areas. So the fact that they're locked it down in terms of the search says that they were looking for evidence. He told them to check their properties. To me, that's just the standard line to give people something to do to keep them out of your face when you want to get out there and look for evidence. He's also said that, there were no other details to tell us that she went anywhere else. That's him naming it up and saying she's not been abducted. There's nothing to show, essentially, that she left the property. That's usually what you hear said when they know the child never left the property on their own. And there was also that warning that he made where he asked people not to share information that hadn't come from law enforcement, because he said that that could impact the investigation. Meaning, if you know something, tell law enforcement, don't put it on social media, because we don't want it to impact the investigation. We don't want to compromise the investigation. It's all those usual red flags that tell us basically this child's not going to be brought back alive. Unfortunately, I hate saying that. I hate even thinking this early on, but there is, and I'll show the aerial footage shortly. I've got a bunch of things queued up, including images of the home, but you'll see them in some of the footage as well. Actually, I might jump in and just to give you some idea. There was something else that I was going to say before I jumped in as well, but I can't think. They're saying now that they've covered 5,000 acres for starters. No, I'm looking at my notes. I can't see anything else that I need to mention right now. But let's just have a look at the area. So this is actually a bunch of screenshots. I'll just go through slowly. So, okay, this is before we start zooming in, but you can see it's kind of that, backwoods kind of area. And then you get, I don't even think there is a chook pen, to be honest. This is the backyard. So I'm just wondering where the chooks are, because they've got 2 dog kennels there. And generally, if you've got the sort of dogs that you have to chain up outside with a dog kennel, you're not going to have free-range chickens. But yeah. So this is the outside area. It looks like a chicken roosting up behind the kids' car. So kids' seat. So maybe the chickens were free-range. Maybe the dog kennels are for the chickens. I don't know, but if the chickens don't have a pen, then there's a good chance. Wouldn't they be roosting in the trees? Meaning that she wouldn't even be able to get near the chickens if she was outside that time of night. And, I mean, we're talking about a property with no fencing, no rear boundary by the looks of it. Are you really going to let a 4-year-old out there at, like, 8:30 at night, unsupervised? It's not like this is Gairloch Road where the nearest house is, like, miles away. Just trying to see. I think I must have, the maps must be on the end. Okay, hang on. Let me just have a quick look. Okay. No, I didn't. Okay, so this is coming slowly. I can't really zoom, but you can see it's a residential area. You've got the search area, which is around where the house is. And then you've also got where the law enforcement base was, which is where that yellow thing is. I think my other map is probably clearer. Just give me a second. This is the other map that they've shared. I did try to get screenshots from Google Earth, but they weren't great, so I just didn't bother. But you can see it's all residential. It's all streets with a few sort of backwoods areas behind them. So it's not overly isolated. The bits they're showing, that's the area that's been searched. I don't think the house was the red dot. Hang on, let me go back. Where's that? I wish I could zoom it somehow. Hang on, if I do that, that might make it a bit bigger. So around the dot is the area of the house. So that's Ridgecrest Road, and they're on Hillsborough Road. So the dot is pretty much where she's missing from. Because Hillsborough Road runs off Ridgecrest. So it's kind of at the end of a group of streets. But it's like, it's not a dead end road. Either end hits another road. So I think from memory it runs between Ridgecrest and Oakwood. I can't zoom in, but I think if you go from the dot and go along a bit, I think that's where it is, potentially. So it's not like, really, really out of town. There's lots of houses around. I actually didn't think to look before this live stream to see where this laundromat is, but it isn't a big area. So, you would think that the laundromat wouldn't have been far away at all. Anyway, I'm going to jump in and play some of the clips because they give us a bit of an update. I don't think they overlap too much. This back up like this. There is some different information, I think, from most of these. I'll just kind of put them all together. There's two longer ones that I might end up zipping through. We'll see.
In Aiken, the search for a missing 4-year-old Javeahya Harris continues for the third day. News Channel 6's Anaya Clark is live from Bethel Baptist Church with the latest. Anaya, what can you tell us?
Okay, sorry, I had to unmute. Yes, they've door knocked the entire area. Apparently, that's one of the things they've said, is that basically they have gone and door knocked every house in the area. They've interviewed lots of people already. They haven't given a actual amount in terms of how many people that they've interviewed, but they're saying they've done many interviews, including family members. So the other thing is the houses are close together. So you would think if there was a strange person in the street that the neighbours would be aware of it. Although the father is now claiming that there was, he's trying to make it sound like there were stalkers in the house in the days leading up, or around the house in the days leading up to when she went missing. But then we have to think about the Cleo Smith case, because, I mean, that was that odd guy going to a campground and actually taking her from inside a tent. And it's not something that you would normally expect to hear. But we'll listen to the father's interview after these clips and see what you think from there.
All right, well, it's been more than 48 hours since Javeahya Harris was first reported as missing. Now, as Sheriff Marty Sawyer says, there is no evidence that Javeahya was abducted and that may have wandered off on her own. Now, as you can see right here behind me, that we're still at Bethel Baptist Church, and where law enforcement is scattered all over to continue the search. Now, hundreds of law enforcement and first responders searched around Reynolds Pond Road where she was last seen. Now, crews have been out all day today conducting a grid search to avoid missing evidence or contamination. Law enforcement are spending time to
Good question, because I actually hadn't thought of that, but I think she said Baptist, but you hear of Bethel churches here too. Note how she said they were doing a grid search to avoid missing, what was it? Something and evidence. Just back a smidge.
Last seen. Now, crews have been out all day today conducting a grid search to avoid missing evidence or contamination.
To avoid missing evidence or contamination. If she's been told that by the sheriff, that tells us where this case is headed completely. They're doing a grid search to avoid missing evidence. In other words, they know what's going on with this case. It doesn't sound promising.
Enforcement are spending time today to going to local neighborhoods, searching for potential video surveillance and continuing car searches. Now, Sheriff Sawyer says that they won't stop until they find her. I talked to a neighbor who tells me that she is worried for the family.
Yeah, and my prayers go to the family, and our church, Bethel Baptist I go to, they're helping out too. I would like to say to the parents, I'm praying for y'all. I know that this is hurting you, breaking your heart, and that everybody in the neighborhood is thinking about you and praying for you.
Now, the Aiken County Sheriff's Office is asking for the public's help in finding Javeahya Harris. They are asking anyone who has any information on this investigation to call the tip line right there on your screen. Now, the Sheriff's Office has set up a website for anyone in the community to submit any video that is relevant to this investigation. Now, we have the link on our website at WJBF.com. Live in Aiken County, Anaya Clark, WJBF News Channel 6.
That was just a really quick one because I thought at least kind of set the stage. It's interesting that we've got the same thing, same situation here. So before they do this release where they say we're scaling it back, and I'll get to that, all this news footage is from before that, and they're telling reporters, yeah, no, you know, we're not slowing down, we're still going to search. So definitely sounds like they probably found some evidence. You don't hear of anyone attending. Yeah, I'd be interested to find out. I mean, maybe they're just one of these kind of extreme versions. I don't know. But I hadn't actually thought about that. So they've gone from essentially saying, yeah, we're not going to stop searching, to within less than 24 hours saying we're scaling it back. Okay, sorry. Getting there.
That call came to the Aiken County Sheriff's Office around 8:43. Her parents say they last saw her around 8:15. Aiken County deputies have been joined by more than a dozen other agencies, including the Richmond County Sheriff's Office, SLED, South Carolina Highway Patrol, and the FBI Columbia. Drones, K-9s, ATVs, helicopters all have covered a 3,000-acre perimeter near her home on Hillsborough Street and Ridgecrest Road. So far, there's been no sign of Javeahya.
So they had dogs as well, I was just saying. And that was a good spot to pause, because that's the SLED helicopter by the sounds of it, by the looks of it. That looks like that is equipped with every bit of search technology that you could put on a helicopter. You just have to look at the front of it. Looks like there's a massive spotlight under the back of it as well. But that is one heck of a FLIR camera on the front of that helicopter, in my opinion. So if they've had that helicopter up as soon as she was reported missing, going into the cooler hours of the evening, and they've had drones up, they've had dogs out, they've had grid searches, this little girl did not wander off. Your brother and his wife go to the Baptist church. They refer to themselves as born-again Christians. Yeah, I've heard that too. I wonder if that's the sort of church that my cousin and his wife go to, because they're sort of very much about the whole born again kind of thing, I think.
Now entering its third full day. Everyone from law enforcement to neighbors searching for that little girl who loves chasing the chickens. Day 3 of that search set to start here shortly for Javeahya Harris. She has braids with pink beads in her hair. Deputies say she was wearing Minnie Mouse pajamas when she went missing. You could submit any tips you know. Any information helps. You could submit those to 803-502-5200. If you have any security camera footage, maybe some Ring camera footage, you can actually upload that online. We have a link to do that on our website, WRDW.com. That search set to continue in just a couple hours here. Now, this map next to me shows the area law enforcement.
I just want to point out they really are pushing that, you know, they've got this website especially for people to upload video footage. So I think I don't think they're talking about a little girl that wandered off, in my opinion. But then we have to consider Michael Vaughan, because he got out, he wandered, and it sounds like Stacey Wanderer just got hold of him really, really quickly and had him in their house really, really quickly, and that's certainly something that we can't discount. Even if they've been door knocking, if someone is a real sociopath or a real psychopath, then they could still fool police when they answered the door. Yeah, I don't know much about born agains either.
Has already searched, and where they're going to continue to search. 3,000 plus acres has already been searched. And just outside the area of this map is where the Bethel Baptist Church sits. That is where we find your Ashley Jones this morning. Ashley, you've been out there all morning so far. What's it looking like now?
Welcome in, Jess. Good to see you in here.
Well, right now, Nick, it is pretty empty. We have not seen too many law enforcement agents pull up at this time. But if you joined us on air on our earlier shows, and you know that there were several law enforcement agents that were in this parking lot behind me. But go ahead and take a look. It's pretty empty right now. Not too many people here. We believe they're about to get that search underway here. We do know that they will have a briefing at 8:30. And go ahead and take a look to my left over this way. Deputies doing the best that they can to search for her before they put boots on the ground and begin that search that they've been doing over the past 2 days here. What they're doing right now is stopping any car that passes here on the Pipeline Road. That's the road that you're looking at right now. They're stopping every car that comes this way.
You're kidding me, right? Pipeline Road. Damn pipelines everywhere. Sorry, I just had to throw that in. This must have been really early that they were doing this report then, if she's saying that this was before an 8:30 update. So who knows what time it was, but it was clearly very, very early.
Questioning them. They're talking to the drivers, they're talking to the passengers, they're looking through their car. So they are working tirelessly. Even though they don't have boots on the ground out there searching like we have seen, they are still doing what they can to try and find little Javeahya Harris. Now, a lot of people have been asking what they can do to help. But right now, the best thing that you can do, Nick, like you said, is submit any information that you may have to that tip line. We have that number. It should be up there on your screen. If it's not, just go to our website, WRDW.com. We have it there, and you can find it just about anywhere. You can call that number there and submit any information that you have. Nothing is too small when it comes to finding little Javeahya. So we do know some of the new information that we have because we learned so many new details.
I'm just going to pause there too, because seeing the car park looking so empty, seeing an absence of searches that early in the morning on day 3 certainly suggests that, you know, they were already like, okay, we don't think she's out there. Because we know from all these other cases, the search doesn't stop overnight unless there's a good reason to scale back. And scaling back on the third day is unheard of unless they are confident that the child is not out there.
Yesterday was that Javeahya was last seen on Tuesday night. They say that she was playing in her the chicken coop just outside of her home, and then her mother didn't see her anymore. Her mother immediately called.
I'm sorry, flashbacks. And then her mother didn't see her anymore. Is that the wording that the mother gave them? The mother didn't see her anymore? Because that's like Janie flashbacks, that's Malaya flashbacks. What do through know? What do they know? Oh, I think they definitely know a heck of a lot more than what they're telling us. They definitely know a heck of a lot more. Yeah.
911, and from there, deputies came out to her home and began asking her questions. And from there, they began the search for little Javeahya. And here we are entering the third full day of that search. And a lot of people are concerned about it. We know that 200 plus officers were out here yesterday, and it's not just regular law enforcement. These are investigators who are specialized in finding missing children. They have been out here, federal agents, we've had local, state, all of them here trying to find little Javeahya. And we've learned from the Aiken County Sheriff that for a lot of these officers, this search is personal. Take a listen.
Everybody out here searching has children. Some have grandchildren. And whether they do or they don't, our job is to protect the citizens of this county. Young, middle-aged, old, and we're not giving up till we have answers, until we bring Javeahya home.
So he's saying we're not giving up until we have answers, until we bring Javeahya home. Not till we find her, but till we have answers and bring her home. How often do we hear that sort of language as well? And this is him saying we're not giving up, and then on day 3, they turn around and say, we're scaling back, you're not going to see us out here so much. Aha, got it. Baptist churches are common in America, here in Canada also. Mostly black communities attend these churches. Right, got it. So it's kind of a bit like an evangelical kind of thing, I guess, maybe.
And go ahead and take another look at Javeahya Harris, just 4 years old. A lot of people worried about her. No one just thinking of her as just someone they don't know, but everybody has kind of taken her under their wing and looked at her as being one of their own. So this is how important this search is. This is how hard people are working to find her as far as law enforcement. And like I said, the people at home, what you can do is share that picture that you see on your screen. There's another picture of her online. Share that picture. Put her name out there. Keep her face out there. We want everyone to know that this little girl is missing, and we are working to find her. And we are working to, we're continuing to follow that search to find her. So again, you can submit any tips that you have to that tip line.
And again, forgetting to unmute. Welcome in, Fred. Sorry, I did say that, but with it on mute, so you wouldn't have heard me. And Summit, you go get yourself some rest. This will be here for replay, so it's not like I'm one of these content creators who does a live stream and then makes it members only or makes it private and, like, you snooze, you lose kind of thing. My live streams stay up public unless there's something where I'm just sort of like, there was one last week that was kind of like, yeah, that wasn't my best live stream, and I think I just ended up making it members only because it wasn't really anything exceptional. And it was just like, yeah, I'll just pull that, make it members only. I could have made it private, and I went, whatever.
That number is on your screen or on our website, wherever you can find it. And also, we know that investigators are looking through digital evidence, and I'll explain to you what that is. Any surveillance footage, any surveillance video, anything like that. So if you have a Ring camera, you're in this area, you're close to this area, go through that footage, see what you can find. And if you see anything that you think is pertinent to this search for little Javeahya, go ahead and submit it. We have a link to where you can submit that information, so it'll go directly to the investigators. We have that on our website as well, wrdw.com. So anything, nothing is too small. Anything will help in the search for little Javeahya. And again, we'll continue to follow that throughout the day here. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and send things back to you, Nick.
All right, thanks for that, Ashley. And this is a search that's expanded beyond just Aiken and beyond just the CSRA. Really, we know there were Lexington County deputies helping out, Kershaw County. The FBI office in Columbia has been over helping look for Javeahya. So this is an all hands on deck. A lot of resources being used to try to bring her home. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at one of the resources here. This is the flight map and the flight log for one of the sled helicopters. So that's one of the things they've been trying to find her with. We talked about drones, canines, ATVs, helicopters as well. So here you go. Maybe hard to see some of the numbers here, some of the dates on the screen, but this second to last one is from June 29th. And then it goes all the way up here to July 2nd. So this is the last few days where they've been looking for Javeahya. And as you can see, they've got these flight times.
That's a lot of flights. Yeah, I think they're all his live streams are members only now. Which is, you know, kind of pathetic, really. I will upload things and put them members only if I've got a backload of things to make public. Because if you make too many things public at once, then basically no one gets notifications for any of them. Hence the reason there's a whole bunch of, usually there's a bunch of videos in members only that haven't made it public yet. And more just because I've put them in there and I haven't switched them over. But it's very rare that I switch something to members only. If I make it members only, it's because I've gone, yeah, that's probably not something that needs to stay public. You know, it's not about me trying to force people to take memberships to watch my content. Anyway, I wanted to comment on this flight radar screen. Look how many flights they've had over there. Now, yeah, all his videos, all his live streams and stuff are members only now. Because, you know, he thinks he's important enough that people want to buy memberships. I don't think anyone watches him anymore anyway. You're so right, Fred. That's a lot of flights. I can't actually see, they're not showing you like the tail numbers to show how many birds they had up. It possibly also shows drones, because I know if drones are above a certain size, they tend to show on flight radar. But that's a lot of coverage for the area. Welcome in, Crystal. Good to see you here.
Most of these are around an hour, some of them a little less, some of them go up to about 2 hours. So they're doing these searches all throughout the day and the past couple of days. And if we take a look here, this is what some of those searches, hang on. There we go. This is what some of those searches look like. You can see they're just circling the area. So they've been doing this a lot around wooded areas, around water, to see if they can see anything from that bird's eye view. And this is one of the reasons they don't want just everybody out there searching right now, because they're trying to find a very specific little person running around in maybe some woods or in some water. And if we've got a whole bunch of people in the community just out there moving around trying to find Javeahya, it may make that search a little bit more difficult. So again, the best thing you can do right now.
Clearly, this guy doesn't really understand LiDAR very much, because he isn't showing any understanding of the fact that the reason it's covering that area is because it's using LiDAR technology looking for body heat, which is also, yes, it is the reason why they don't want a lot of other people out there. But if you've seen LiDAR images, you can tell that, well, that's a person. And then if it's daytime, they can actually lay eyes on them. But the way he's saying it makes it sound like they're just all like flying over and hoping that they can just spot her with their bare eyes. They will also have augmented reality, which is really high-level camera footage for starters. And then that gets processed by, you know, the technology on board so that it can, like we've seen with Gus's case, where they were actually able to show the image of the person on a bike from a really quite a distance. So it uses AI along with high quality camera footage to create really, really good images. Yes, and Gus's case, they could tell how many sheep, birds, roos, and people were on the property. This technology is not to be sneezed at. Not in the least. So the fact that they've covered it so thoroughly, the fact that they had helicopters up the night that she went missing, she's not out there. She didn't wander off.
Stay home, search your property under a deck or a patio, search trees, bushes around your yard, anywhere a 4-year-old may be able to hide, because if she's out there in your area right now, she's probably scared and looking for a place to hide and stay safe. So try to search around your area, and if you know anything, again, right here on your screen, that tip line, that is the best thing you can do. Now, a lot of people have been asking on social media, why was there no Amber Alert sent out? Well, there are specific criteria that need to be met for an alert to get sent out. Let's take a look at those criteria right now. This is the big one here. Law enforcement has to believe the child was abducted. And right now they believe this is a missing persons case for Javeahya, a missing child. They don't believe she was abducted, so they're not treating it as that right now. One that goes along with that, sufficient information available, like a suspect's name and information and vehicle details. Well, if they don't believe she was abducted, they're not going to have that information. So that makes this not fit for an Amber Alert at this time. Now, no argument here. 17 years old or younger. She's 4 years old, in immediate danger. Look at the response of the law enforcement. They believe she is in immediate danger. So these are the criteria, and this is why that has not gone out just yet. So
Damn it, I've got to get better at unmuting my mic. There won't be an Amber Alert. Full stop, ever. Love your comment, Bonza, but I won't put it up on screen. Because there won't be any vehicle description. There won't be any person description. Because she was not abducted. I'm not mute now, though, am I? Hopefully I haven't completely ruined the sound. I'm really good at forgetting to unmute myself when these are playing, because Amira is snoring heaps right now. So I've been muting while I've been playing the clips, because she's just, you might be able to hear her. Nope, as in, no, I'm not still, I'm good. Okay, cool. Okay, with that said, let's keep going with this. I'm surprised. Well, actually, no, I'm not surprised. I was going to say I'm surprised that there isn't, something up on the FBI page already. But if they're treating it as a criminal investigation, then they're not going to be rushing to put up missing persons posters on NCMEC and FBI and stuff like that.
if these do get met, these criteria here in the next day or a couple of days, they will go ahead and send that out. But again, a lot of people have been asking, a lot of people have been frustrated with why did an Amber Alert not go out? That's why.
Okay, then I think we have another longer
A little bit of an
one.
update on the search for Javeahya Harris.
This guy is the guy that interviewed the father. So I've got his news clip, and then I've got the audio from the father straight after. Yes, I would wonder if there is any sort of past history with the parents. It'll be interesting to see what sort of information starts dribbling out in the next couple of days. But I'm guessing that they probably kept to themselves a bit, because there's not a lot of community input in terms of people saying, I know these people and they're blah, blah, blah. Yes, he definitely blew his reputation when he made that person his source of content, especially when he claims to be an analyst and didn't analyse anything that she said to realise that it's all a load of BS. Anyway, probably shouldn't go too far down that road.
We have now entered day 3 of this search here, so time is ticking as law enforcement still on the ground in Aiken County trying to find any sign of Harris. I wish I had any kind of news or major updates for you, but unfortunately nothing major has come out of the sheriff's office as of today. But we do have some small updates and some nuggets to share with you. We do have a team on the ground at the command center in Aiken County to give you any kind of updates, and we'll go live now to your Sydney Hood, who's been on the ground for the last 3 days now. In Sydney, earlier this afternoon, we did see some crews out on a couple of the neighborhood roads, canvassing the area, talking to neighbors. We also have an update on what plans are moving into the weekend, or at least what the thought is moving into this weekend. What kind of updates have you gotten with that?
Yeah, well, the sheriff's office told me they are still planning exactly what that plan looks like heading into the weekend. Of course, we're going to stay on top of that and bring you the latest once we get an actual plan as we inch closer into the weekend there. But I want to go back to the comment that you just made about how we wish we had some sort of news, good news to share with folks. And I think you couldn't have said it better myself there, because, you know, that's all that we want to share is any sort of updates, news, good news with folks. But unfortunately, like you said, not a lot of huge developments in this search right now. But I can say, being out here since around 10 o'clock this morning, I have seen just nonstop movement coming out of the staging area behind me. This is Bethel Baptist Church and Pipeline Road behind me. But driving around the general area here in the Shiloh Heights area, like I said, I've seen law enforcement going in and out of the neighborhood. Saw a couple of trucks parked over on Hillsborough Street, which is the last area that Javeahya was seen to.
Okay, so in my mind, when she says a couple of trucks parked over there, I think like, you know, big trucks as opposed to utes. But it would be interesting to know if she's just talking about, like, you know, regular trucks as in what we call utes, or if she's talking about trucks that have, you know, boxes on the back that are essentially, you know, forensic teams in there processing the house with forensics, because there's a huge difference. This is where I get confused.
Night, but I was talking with some neighbors as well, just again trying to hear from them on what they've seen, what they've heard, what is going on there, since of course they live over there in that area. And some neighbors were telling me how they still see law enforcement in their yards searching through bushes, ditches, anywhere where a child may be hiding, and they're still getting questioned there. And I saw that with my own eyes today. Deputies going door to door asking people questions, just again canvassing through that area. Sheriff Sawyer told us yesterday during his news conference that as of in that moment yesterday afternoon that they have no details to show that Javeahya could be out of this area. So that's why they said that they are concentrating on this area in this neighborhood. The church is about a half a mile from where she was last seen. So I've seen with my own eyes deputies concentrating on this area. But talking about just neighbors and the community response to this, I said this earlier this morning, but you can hardly go on any sort of social media platform right now and not see Javeahya.
Yeah, it's definitely looks like they're all youths. The number of vehicles outside the house, that definitely suggests to me that that's where the investigation is focused, in my opinion.
Name and not see her face, and that is one of the big things that the sheriff's office says that the public can do to help them right now, is to continue saying Javeahya's name and continue showing her picture to hopefully steer them in the right direction, or somebody knows something can go to law enforcement and give them any little nugget to steer them closer to bringing Javeahya home. That's why they keep saying to utilize that tip line if you have any information. The sheriff's office has that number on their website. We have that on our website as well, and the sheriff's office has a website where if you have any photos or videos you believe could help them in the search, they are encouraging folks to utilize that as well. The sheriff's office says if you have any photos or videos from June 15th until June 30th, they are encouraging people to.
I do occasionally sleep, Coral. I usually hit a point where I drop my phone on my face or on the floor, and then I realise that it's time to go to sleep. I haven't been good at sleeping ever my entire life. As you might be able to hear, Amira is really, really good at snoring. Notice they're asking for footage going back to the 15th of June. So they're asking for 2 weeks worth of footage. That to me says they've got questions too in terms of last verified sighting. But I guess also they have to rule out the possibility of any strange vehicles in the area. Because let's say hypothetically that this does end up as a criminal case and that they are needing to prosecute someone. If someone is claiming, oh, someone was stalking our property, then if that's not really the truth, then they need to be able to prove that in court, because otherwise that is something that could create reasonable doubt. But the flip side is if someone has been stalking the property waiting for a chance to take the child, then also they're going to be looking for those sorts of patterns. I'm trying to remember with Cleo's case, but I actually think there was conversation at one point about the guy that took Cleo having actually been around their house, because he lived in the same town as them. And I have this vague recollection of them, something about him possibly stalking, like watching their house. But I mean, that case is so many years old now that some of those finer details I forget.
As well, they've said multiple times that no detail is small here, just anything to get them closer to, again, bringing Javeahya home. That is their main focus here. They have said that multiple times. They want to bring Javeahya home.
Again, the terminology, they want to bring her home. They're not pushing that we need to find her. They want to bring her home. That's usually the terminology that you hear so often when they know the children aren't going to be found alive. I may be wrong, but there's so many things about this case that kind of lead me in that direction.
Family and to her community. And I also want to touch on the role that these roadblocks that we keep talking about, the role that those have played in this search. There is no car coming in the Shiloh Heights neighborhood and no car leaving the Shiloh Heights neighborhood without getting stopped and questioned and searched by law enforcement. And when I say no cars leaving, it doesn't matter if you live in this area, it doesn't matter if you work here, it doesn't matter if you're just traveling through, it doesn't matter if you are here covering this story. They have stopped our vehicle, they've asked us questions, they asked us our names, our contact information, what we're doing in the area, how often we're in the area, if we've traveled this route before, if we knew Javeahya, if we knew her family, if we knew them prior to June 30th. These are just a few of the questions that law enforcement's asking the cars who travel in this area. And Sheriff Sawyer mentioned yesterday the role that these roadblocks play. He said that that could potentially lead them to a witness who didn't even know that they were a witness. And those roadblocks have been going nonstop since Javeahya was reported missing.
Hi, Crystal. Good to see you in here. They're being very thorough with their questioning. They really are on the ball. And I'd be willing to bet, given what she's saying here, in terms of how thoroughly they were questioning, I'm willing to bet that every single officer that was doing that was wearing body-worn camera. And they've probably got FBI going over every single interaction. So every person that's been pulled over in a vehicle, every house that they've door knocked on, I would say that they have almost certainly got forensic analysts, like, your psych guys, your speech analysts, your body language analysts, all that sort of thing. I would almost guarantee that they're going over every single bit of body-worn camera footage from the houses and the vehicles.
Tuesday evening, but as these hours tick away, you can tell just the urgency has only grown since she was last seen on Tuesday. I've talked about how this parking lot behind me has filled up with law enforcement vehicles, and that still stands true today. Just the amount of people showing up to try and find this little 4-year-old girl and bring her home to her family will. We can't say that enough. We can't show her picture enough to folks in hopes that it reaches the right person who may know something to again steer these law enforcement officers in the right direction of bringing her home to her family.
And I just want to say that I do see your guys' comments on Facebook too. We'll try to answer as much of those as we can. I know one of those was about a standoff. I believe that is referring to the one that was up in Tennessee. We've actually confirmed.
Good point too. I forget about things like facial recognition and stuff. The fact that they've got the FBI in on this, I reckon a lot of their footage is being analysed every which way possible. And the sort of technology that FBI have, yeah, they're doing what they're doing here is like next level hardcore. They're really doing a good job, if you ask me.
That has nothing to do with our situation here, so we can confirm that. Again, I know that's making rounds on social media, so the Tennessee situation, nothing to do with Javeahya Harris at all. We made sure that we checked on that. I know law enforcement was checking as well. But Sydney, talk a little bit. I mean, this is something we've been talking about the last few days. Talk about the temperature out there. What are you feeling, and then what are you seeing from some of the investigators out there too?
I mean, there's no denying how brutally hot it is out here. We've heard that from our First Alert weather team about how dangerously hot it is out here and potentially life-threatening temperatures.
That's pretty awesome. They rescued a kidnapped child on I-40 and took out the kidnapper. I just want to say, this woman herself looks like she's going through like heat stress, possibly more than just heat stress. She looks like she needs to have a cold shower in a hotel and lie down for a while, in my opinion. So what she's saying here about for a little girl, she's so spot on. But the thing is, if they didn't find her overnight that first night with all their FLIR technology, she's not out there.
Here, and certainly you and I, we talked about this yesterday whenever we were both out here, how we've seen these deputies come in and out of this parking lot with bottles of water. They have their shirts are drenched in sweat. It just goes to show you how hot it is out here. And I mean, you think about how hot it is for an adult out here, but you can't help but to think how extreme that is for a small child. I mean, she's 4 years old, she's 3.5 feet tall roughly, and weighs 40 pounds. That is just a small child out here, for all we know, in this heat by herself, for all we know right there. But I mean, we're on day 3 right now. It's only grown hotter as the hours and the days tick away out here, and that certainly is on the mind of the people who are searching for her out there. And again, that's a part of why they are so urgent in scoping out the space, the nearly 3,000 acres that they have walked on, been in the sky searching for her. So that's certainly on the forefront of their minds right now with how hot it is, and heading into the weekend doesn't look like it's going to cool down anytime soon is there. So again, that just goes into...
I agree with you, Barmer. I haven't gone beyond the house, as Chris would say. Too many red flags. What child goes out playing with chickens in her pajamas at 8:15 at night when the chickens are going to be roosting already? When at 4, shouldn't she be tucked into bed, or at least be getting ready for bed at that point in time? And yet, when you listen to what the father says, there's some red flags there for sure.
Urgency and how just the response out here, and how that's in the back of there's a lot of things in the back of their minds right now, but the heat is certainly on top of mind right now.
And it takes a toll not only on some of the searchers that are out there and investigators, but also you and some of the reporters that are out here trying to keep the public informed every step of the way on this. It takes a toll on the entire community when something like this happens. Sheriff Sawyer telling us
So she looks like she's suffering from heat stroke and being eaten alive by insects. Exactly. 8:30 at night, and you're going to go to multiple stores looking for candy for your 4-year-old daughter? Wouldn't you expect that by the time you got home, she would be asleep in bed? Who's going to go looking for candy, for sugar, for a 4-year-old at 8:30 at night, 9 o'clock at night? Like, seriously. Yes, could have been going to get his ass on camera for an alibi. Or could have been still doing a bit of a Daniel Martel and disposing of evidence. When you hear his story of going around all these different places looking for candy, to me it's reminiscent of Stephen Stearns. Anyway, we'll get
conference
to that.
yesterday that they will not stop until they bring her home, and we're hoping for some good news eventually, and we're hoping that this doesn't have to go into the weekend as well, as crews are still out there. You can see trucks behind you that have continued to come in and out of this command center, going to different places to search for Javeahya Harris. Now, I did have a chance to go out the Aiken County Sheriff's Office telling us today that they put billboards up all across the CSRA, FBI Columbia saying that too. You saw some of that video a little bit earlier. We'll show it to you now. Missing Javeahya Harris. They can tell you when she was last seen, where she was last seen, to call 911 or that tip line number, which is 803-502-5200. You've probably heard that a million times, but you can't hear it enough. You can't hear her name enough. You can't see her face enough at this time until she comes home. So a new step in this process that law enforcement putting up digital billboards, trying to get her name and her face out to every single person that they possibly can. And I know that there are people in the comments asking about how the family is doing, where the family is, have they spoken to anyone. I had the chance to talk with the father yesterday.
So many echoes of other cases. When you hear the father speak, you're just going to be like, whoa. Yes, Bonzer, it could be that. It could also be a similar situation to Stephen Stearns of, well, I went to these places, but I couldn't find what I was looking for. That's why I don't have receipts. But that accounts for why I was gone for so long. Meaning that's probably not what he was doing, but it's basically trying to create an alibi.
And it was an interesting conversation. I talked to him over the phone, and it was an initial interview that I had with him, and he told me a little bit about what happened, what the search was like, what he knows, and I'll give you a rundown, and then we'll actually play the call as well so you can hear it for yourself to give yourself some context. Now, he told me that he went out to run a few errands, went to go get candy for Javeahya.
Oh my gosh, he went out to run a few errands. Straight away, Stephen Stearns flashbacks. Yeah, I do too. Nobody's speaking. We've heard, apparently one neighbour has said they didn't even know there was a child living there. But there's no grandparents coming forward. Now, I get that the mother's not coming forward if she's just given birth. But we're not hearing from anybody. Even people that know the family. Which, you know, what's going on here?
She said she wanted some. He went to a few other stores, ended up at a laundromat, and that's when he saw a large law enforcement presence. And at the time, his girlfriend was actually pregnant, so maybe he thought that she was going into labor. That's what he told me. That's his narration of what happened. He raced home, and that's when he saw a large law enforcement presence at his home, drones in the air. Investigators actually started talking to him, and he wasn't allowed to go in the house or check anything. He had no idea what was going on. He tells
he wasn't allowed to go in the house. Ding, ding, ding. 100 points for law enforcement right there. That's a good question. Has CPS taken the baby away yet? Very good question.
His girlfriend actually couldn't contact him because she didn't have cell service, though she was the one who did call 911 for help. According to an incident report from the sheriff's office, they tell us that Javeahya was last seen in the front yard playing with chickens at their chicken coop. The sheriff telling us that she just wandered off. That's what they think, and that's what they know right now, is that they believe that she has wandered off and that there was no abduction. There's been a lot of talk about that Amber Alert. That's part of the criteria for issuing one of those. So the father, again, telling me that it's been emotional for them. It's been very hard not knowing what happens. He says that you see this in movies, you see this on TV, but you don't expect it to happen in your own community or your own family. And he said that Javeahya was not one to run away or has not done that in the past. She was extreme.
Again, Malaya flashbacks. It's like there is a playbook for these cases, and they're doing laundry. So many things. Now, his comment about her not being able to contact him because of no cell reception, whatever, is starting to make a bit more sense. If maybe he got there, they wouldn't let him in the house, and he was trying to make contact with the mother to basically square up their alibi. One presser said the mum thought she was at the chicken coop, but she wasn't there when the mum checked. Even down to the neighbours not knowing there was a kid there. There's so many things. It's like this is scripted from so many other cases.
Friendly. There were initial reports that she was a child with autism. We learned out that that's not necessarily true, but she may be on the spectrum. She was not nonverbal. She's very communicative and can talk. So that has changed since the very beginning. So
Yeah, she's possibly on the spectrum, but you know, she'll talk your leg off. She'll talk to people in a shop. She's really friendly and she's got no idea of stranger danger. Like, oh my gosh. It's doing my head in hearing the same lines that we hear in so many cases.
know that there is a lot of conversation happening around that initial interview and conversation that I had with the father. There was supposed to be a follow-up interview where we could ask more questions and get more information from him, but that did not happen. So we're stuck with what we have right now from the family, but it does give us some insight.
Yes, you are dead on about if the mother was about to go to hospital and give birth. Yes, if there's a child with bruises, then that could be a red flag. A note they're saying they were supposed to have a follow-up interview with the father, and that didn't happen. In other words, I think his investigators have started questioning him, and he's gone silent. Yeah. There's concerning things here. Okay, and that's just going to scroll through to the father bit now.
Okay, I got up around five-ish, and my daughter was outside playing. My girl was out there watching her. She was in and out of the house. I say that, and I was going to get up and wash the clothes. Yeah. What else can I say? I left the house around.
Hang on, so he's saying he got up around 5-ish. He's talking about the evening. Good night, Summer. Go and get some rest. So he got up at 5 o'clock in the evening. Is he working night shifts? Or is there another reason? So now he's saying that the mother was actually outside playing with the child. Well, if she was out there at 5 o'clock, that's a long time for a little child in the summer heat to be outside playing. Why was she still out there at 8:15? That doesn't add up.
Was 6, like late 6, maybe like early 7 o'clock. It was probably around like 6, and I got back to the house maybe around 7:15 because my girl and my daughter said they wanted some candy, like she wanted some suckers and she wanted some cookies, and I had went to like three stores maybe in between those times to go get gas, Black and Miles, and I had got some drinks, like some little Mad Dogs and stuff like that, and when I left and I went back to dry the clothes because I was washing them. I was sitting there for a little minute, and I ended up.
Okay, the narrative is not linear. Huge red flag. Huge red flag. There are gaps in the narrative. It's not linear. Mad Dogs is alcohol. So he was on a grog run, perhaps. But he's doing this really vague, like Stephen Stearns. Well, I went all these places looking for these lollies and things, and then I went back to the laundromat because, you know, I had laundry there. So he hasn't established in the timeline that he went to the laundromat first and left the laundry there. When you have this lack of any sort of linear storytelling, huge red flag. When you have lack of detail, huge red flag. Also, again, someone who apparently is time blind. I think he said my girls. I think he was referring to both. Because I think there is one point when he does say that he was specifically looking for some sort of candy for the little girl.
another store. Like these 3 stores that I'm saying, like I sold the 3 stores already, but I went to a store last.
Gotcha.
And I was back at the washing machine that was right beside the Circle K. And then when I was at the Circle K, I was seeing a lot of police and stuff going through, and I was wondering. I was like, you know what I'm saying? You know, a lot of stuff goes on in Aiken to where like you would be like, okay, that's the police or whatever. But I didn't know that it was my house. Because my girlfriend at the time, she didn't have service. She didn't have service on her phone, so she couldn't call me to let me know anything that was going on. So she just ended up calling 911. So when I came back to the house, before I got on my road, I seen a police truck with a drone out, and then that's when I started speeding up because I was like, it's something going down like close to my house. When I got turned on my road, I seen a whole bunch of police like right at my house. So that's when I hurried up and I.
Still, the timeline's all over the place because he like saw all these cars down outside the house, and so he sped up. But then he talks about then I turned into my road and saw them. Well, he claims he was doing laundry. He may have been wanting to use a vending machine, but his story is all over the place. It's really not a good story. It's even not even a good alibi. It's Stephen Stearns 2.0.
Got to the house and I was like, what's going on? I thought my girlfriend was in labor because she was supposed to have a baby. You know what I'm saying? Soon. So she ended up having a child that same night on July 1st. But she came up crying to me saying my Javeahya missing. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like I kind of freaked out, and the detectives were telling me I couldn't go look and stuff like that because they didn't want me to mess up the area or whatever. But that's basically what happened up until all of this came about.
Okay. Is she known to run away? Like, has there been past issues with that with her? Or is she known to do that?
No, she does not run away, but I will say that she is friendly. Like she's friendly, but like she doesn't like it's not a stranger danger thing with her. It's not like get away from me. Like she didn't get that. She didn't understand that. She was just all friendly to everybody. She was very respectful. Like
yeah, I'm going to redo this one bit and put it out with closed captions. Okay, I'm going to have to give you guys, if you're not familiar with the Jack and Lily Sullivan case, then I apologise, but if I don't take this chihuahua outside now, all we're going to hear is this crazy noise. So just bear with me a moment.
I'm a math man, yeah, I count cans, live in a trailer with rusted pants. Mom's dog's bald, it's got no flair, lost all its hair, and it don't care. Pink blankets, lies I've told again, footprints vanish like phantom friends. I'm Superman, tangle faster than wind, stronger than a chopper when the rotors spin. I rake my driveway for mom shakes her fist. Super Daniel, yeah, I can't be missed.
I like this one better, I think.
Out on mama's ATV, she says I drive it recklessly. X wrote her name on my mirror in red. Now I'm searching cold, it's like I lost my head. Dirt roads, rivers, waist high deep. Virginia slims, I puff and leap. I'm Superman, Daniel, faster than wind, stronger than a chopper when the rotors spin. I rake my driveway for mom shakes her fist. Super Daniel, yeah, I can't be missed. No, out on mama's ATV, she says I drive it recklessly. X wrote her name on my mirror in red. Now I'm searching coverts like I lost my head. Dirt roads, rivers, waist high deep. Virginia slims, I puff and leap. I'm Superman, Daniel, arrogant and bold, strutting pop lines in the cold. Work one day a week at the sawmill grind. Super Daniel, yeah, I own my time. I'm Superman, Daniel, arrogant and bold, strutting pop lines in the cold. Work one day a week at the sawmill grind. Super Daniel, yeah, I own my time.
Even with me running through the woods over the head of the helicopters and head of the drones and stuff like that.
That's a good one.
I'll have to let Mouse bring himself in when he's ready, because it seems that he's still out there right now. That was Mouse, that yapping. When he wants to go out, he basically is like, what the heck, I'm going to pester the other dogs, get them moving, and make sure they tell Mum to take me out. So that's what he was doing. He was pestering Amira, the other Chihuahua, and telling her, hey, you get this moving, get this happening. It is really hard listening to this guy, so I will definitely redo this audio. I might go through it again tomorrow morning with the live stream, but I'll also do a separate video. I'll put it out as a separate video, and I think I might do a separate analysis of it. And now he's outside terrorizing the neighborhood. As he does, he will bring himself back in soon.
Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, sir. Like that's what she do. We raised her great. Like she was a real smart kid. That's why like they had me kind of like.
I'm going to run it back a bit. Listen to how often he uses past tense. Might run it back quite a bit because we kind of had Mouse yapping in our ears there.
Go get gas, Black Miles, and I got some drinks, like some little Mad Dogs and stuff like that. And when I left and I went back to dry the clothes because I was watching them. I was sitting there for a little minute, then I ended up going to another store. Like these 3 stores that I'm saying, like I sold the 3 stores already, but I went to a store last.
Gotcha.
And then I was back at the washing machine that was right beside the Circle K. And then when I was at the Circle K, I was seeing a lot of police and stuff going through, and I was wondering. I was like, a lot of stuff goes on in Aiken to where like you be like, okay, it's police or whatever. But I didn't know that it was my house. Because my girlfriend at the time she didn't have service. She didn't have service on her phone, so she couldn't call me to let me know anything that was going on. So she just ended up calling 911. So when I came back to the house, before I got on my road, I seen a police truck with a drone out. And then that's when I started speeding up because I was like, it's something going down like close to my house. When I got turned on my road, I seen a whole bunch of police like right at my house. So that's when I hurried up and I got to the house and I was like, what's going on? I thought my girlfriend was in labor because she was supposed to have a baby. You know what I'm saying? So she ended up having a child that same night on July 1st. But she came up crying to me saying my Javeahya missing. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like I kind of freaked out. And the detectives were telling me I couldn't go look and stuff like that because they didn't want me to mess up the area or whatever. But that's basically what happened up until all of this came about.
Okay. Is she known to run away? Like, has there been past issues with that with her? Or is she known to do that?
No, she does not run away. But I will say that she is friendly. Like she's friendly. Like she doesn't. Like, it's not a stranger danger thing where it's not like get away from me. Like, she didn't get that. She didn't understand that. She was just all friendly to everybody. She was very respectful. Like, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. Like, that's what she do. We raised her great. Like, she was a real smart kid. That's why, like, they had me kind of, like, messed up. Because they were saying that she was not, like, she's non-verbal and that. Like, yeah, she was that saying she's autistic and like that was like the media was like messing. I don't want to cuss, but that was messing my head up a little because they don't even have a good description of my child to try to describe her.
What's a good? Is she autistic?
Is this guy a bit of a mathematician as well? Because, or is it just the region? Like, it's doing my head in listening to him. This is where, is it just the southern way of saying things, or, I mean, he's all over the place with what he's saying. I'll say that for starters. He definitely is a fast talker. The amount of times he uses past tense. And you've got the red flags of, no stranger danger. Like Malaya with Lilly and Jack, they'll talk your arm off, they'll talk to strangers in a store. So many red flags.
Or is she on the spectrum at all? Is that true?
She was on the spectrum when she was born, but they said that she couldn't be tested until she was 4 years old.
Okay, so it's on. You guys just don't know.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. We never got her tested, and she's never given us signs that she is, autistic. She talks good. She's like.
She was on the spectrum when she was born, but she's never given us any signs that she's autistic. And she hasn't been assessed yet. I know way too many cases. Exactly, Milky Way girl. Way too many cases where suddenly these kids are possibly on the spectrum. There is no way you would ever even think a newborn baby is on the spectrum. Even at 4, you'd be very unlikely unless the child was nonverbal. If we're talking extreme autism where the child is nonverbal, where they're showing a lot of the extreme autism behaviors, then yes, you might pick it up early on. But to be saying that she was on the spectrum when she was born, that I've never heard of anyone suggesting that with children. Because in terms of, when you start looking at autism as a possibility, then developmentally they've got to be actually at the point of where they should be communicating. Yeah, they were always about to be tested. But, the other side is quite often when you hear these stories of children that might be autistic or might have ADHD, you dig deeper and you find out that there's some level of trauma occurring within the family household. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can imagine like birth complications. And doctors saying, well, there could be problems down the track. But in terms of turning around and just saying out of the blue a baby is autistic, for starters, you can't diagnose it until 5, I believe, based on the DSM-5. That's not the same as a child being born with Down syndrome or a child going through birth complications and the doctors saying, there could be a developmental delay or things like that. In my opinion.
Like she's better than me. She got more respect than me.
Understood. So you guys have no idea what could have happened to her.
I have no clue. Sir, I don't like. It's really wild, but I gave all of these detectives this information about people snooping around the house lately. It's like since I've started work, like from Friday, Thursday really, but from Friday to Monday, I had to work. I was working night shifts, and every time I left, my girl would when she would tell me oh, it's been people doing this and then the third around the house. They been called they be on the phone with people around the house just talking and walking real slow and things like that. And I've been telling them that But
How are you?
Even that doesn't sound convincing. First of all, people around the house. Now, if someone was stalking the house, it's not going to be multiple people. It will be a single individual who certainly will not be doing anything that could give some sort of indication that they are there. Cool. Oh, wow. So the doctor told your mum that she would be, not might be. Wow, 2 out of 10, no reflexes, heart stopped beating, no oxygen, barely survived. Yeah, I could imagine that sort of thing in terms of mental delays and stuff like that, definitely. Wow, yeah. But I think in terms of what he's claiming, I think it's just that whole, let's claim the kid's got autism. He doesn't seem to be referring to any difficulties around birth or anything like that. It seems to be he's just latched onto this thing. There's a lot of red flags in what this guy is saying, in my opinion.
Going through all of this.
I mean, I didn't got.
It's okay.
I didn't got a little bit of it out, but it's like not knowing is killing me. It's killing me, like, because, like, I mean, you see stuff like this often, but you don't expect it to be you.
And is the mother, is she your wife?
No, she's not my wife. She was my girlfriend.
Okay. How is she doing?
She's still a little tore, but she's making it. She's trying to stay calm because we just, like I said, we just recently had a child. She had to really go in labor early because all the stress that was going down. She had that baby the same night that all of this happened.
I'm just going to run that little bit back again. Just want to listen again to when he's asked, what do you think happened? Well, that's the other thing. Why were we told at first that she was non-verbal, and now the guy's like, oh, she talks a lot and no stranger danger and all this usual crap.
She was just all friendly to everybody. She was very respectful. Like, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. Like, that's what she do. We raised her great. Like, she was a real smart kid. That's why, like, they had me kind of, like, messed up. Because they were saying that she was not, like, she's non-verbal and that. Like, yeah, she was that saying she's autistic and, like, that was, like, the media was like, messing. I don't want to cuss, but that was messing my head up a little because they don't even have a good description of my child to try to describe her.
What's a good, is she autistic or is she on the spectrum at all? Is that true?
She was on the spectrum when she was born, but they said that she couldn't be tested until she was 4 years old.
Okay, so it's on, you guys just don't know.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
We never got her tested, and she's never given us signs that she is, autistic. She talks good. She's like very she talks better than me. She got more respect than me.
Understood. So you guys have no idea what could have happened to her.
I have no clue. Sir.
That bit there, where he's like, I have no clue. And then he's like, sir. That's the, appealing to authority. Look at me, I'm being respectful. That means I'm being honest. It's hard to get a real feel, because obviously in terms of dialect and language and stuff, but there's so much. He uses was right through there. It's all past tense. And when you ask a parent, their child's gone missing, and you ask, what do you think happened? They're not going to say, I don't have a clue. welcome in, Rita, and happy 4th of July. If a parent genuinely doesn't know what's happened with their child, for starters, there's a big clue in that apparently she was out the front playing with chickens. So there's a few cases coming up right now, isn't there, Teresa? Good to see you in here. For him to say he hasn't got a clue, I would expect the first response to be, well, we're wondering if maybe she wandered off, or maybe someone drove past and spotted her and grabbed her. Not, I wouldn't have a clue. Because you would be running this through your brain 24/7 from the moment the child went missing, trying to go through every scenario in your head to figure out what happened. So him turning around and saying, well, I haven't got a clue, huge red flag. Massive, massive red flag.
I don't like. It's really wild, but I had, like I said, I gave all of these detectives this information about people snooping around the house lately. It's like since I've started work, like from Thursday really, but from Friday to Monday, I had to work. I was working night shifts, and every time I left, my girl would like, what she would tell me like, oh, it's been people doing this, and then the third around the house they've been called, like they be on the phone with people like around the house, like just talking and walking real slow and things like that. And like, I've been telling them that, but
how are you doing through all of this?
I think too, because I mean that story is just so not credible. First of all, he refers to people that's very, very general. And like I said, you're not going to have, here's a box of red flags. Welcome in, Mike. You're not going to have, if someone is stalking the property, if someone is scoping out the property, they're not going to be talking. Yeah, the working nights definitely does explain waking at 5. They're not going to be talking if they're scoping out the property. They're not going to be on the phone. And that very vague term of people, again, it's very lacking in specifics. I think he's probably rehearsed this. I think he's gone through this conversation with law enforcement. He's probably suggested that someone was wandering around the house and they've said, well, how do you know? And this is where this story is coming from, because he's had to come up with an answer, but it just does not ring true. And like Chris McDonough would say, does not look right.
I didn't got.
It's okay.
I didn't got a little bit of it out, but it's like not knowing is killing me. It's killing me, like, because like I mean you see stuff like this often, but you don't expect it to be you.
And is the mother, is she your wife?
No, she's not my wife. She was my girlfriend.
Okay. How is she doing?
She's still a little tore, but she's making it. She's trying to stay calm because we just, like I said, we just recently had a child. She had to really go in labor early because all the stress that was going down. She had that baby the same night that all of this happened.
Okay, that's the end of that thing. And like I said, I will go through this, add closed captions, and see what I can do with the audio. Yeah, I saw Lovely Bones. That was disturbing. We're not sure she's even the child's mum. Good point. Good point. I hadn't thought about that, but that is a good point. Now, the latest is, this is a news release that, I don't know, it was about 5 hours old before I started this live stream. So it must have been in the afternoon that they put it out. Could be a stepmother. Good question. I hadn't actually thought to question that. Now I'm going to zoom in, but I just wanted to show the whole thing first. So, and probably when I zoom in, we'll be able to see. Maybe not. I probably should have done a better job with the zoom. Anyway, that's a really good question. I would like to know if she is the biological mother or if she is a stepmother. Because that could also make a difference. Okay, so this is their press release from, I guess it would have been 3rd of July. But like for us, it's like today, 4th of July. So this is, the first bit's just your usual blurb. The search for 4-year-old Javeahya Harris continues to intensify and expand. Since the moment Javeahya was reported missing, an extensive and coordinated search effort was organised by the Aiken County Sheriff's Office, which includes multiple local, state and federal law enforcement agencies. Surged resources. Okay, I'll skip over that. Well, if she is just a girlfriend and not the mother, certainly with the new baby coming, that could change things a little bit. Just look at Letitia Stausch. I prefer not to, but, these things do happen. In missing persons investigations, the first several days involve ground and air searches, a neighbourhood canvass, roadblocks, and many other tools and techniques. Our searches covered more than 5,000 acres. Despite the comprehensive and coordinated efforts, we have not located Javeahya. We have additionally conducted numerous interviews with this investigation to include her family. So they've done numerous interviews which include family. Interesting. Waiting for the next paragraph. Here is the announcement of, we're only 3 days in, but we are scaling back the search. I've never seen a search be scaled back this quickly. I cannot think of any instance. I was gobsmacked when they scaled back the search for Lilly and Jack at 6 days. I think because Darius was 11 days. Are you right, Amira? Must have been bones in that water. They've got a water fountain. It's like purified water, straight through filters and everything. And yet she drinks and then she does that gagging thing. Anyway. In the coming days, our work will be less visible to the public, while organised search activities will be reduced. But rest assured, the search for Javeahya will not stop until we find her. Deja vu. Like, how many cases have we heard this? Our forward mobile command operations will be scaling down as well as releasing roadblocks. So essentially, 3 days and they're scaling back the search. Yeah, good point, Bonza. If she was the stepmother, they'd be mentioned because the biological mum would be suspect. And I think there was a question from the media in that first thing in terms of, possible familial issues. And I think they pretty much said no. There wasn't any sort of concern with that. Maybe they're investigating family now. They searched over 3,000 acres the first day. Yeah, well, and that's the other thing too. That's a large area to search for a missing child, given that the report was that she went missing Well, she was last seen around 8:15. It was reported at 8:43, I think, meaning that she'd really only been missing for half an hour. Based on the search manual that they'll use, that search area shouldn't have been more than about a 3, 4, 5 mile radius, and that's being generous. So for them to say that they've covered like 3,000 acres the first day, and then they're saying here they've covered 5,000 acres, they've covered a lot of ground. 3 days, I've never heard of a search being scaled back after only 3 days. And the thing is, yes, we're talking extreme heat, but there have been cases of children going without water for extended periods of time. I would imagine if we were to look at the manual, it would probably be suggesting that, in terms of survivability, that you wouldn't be discounting it. If they thought she was out there after 3 days, they would be in panic mode because of the heat. They'd be wanting to step it up. So they know she's not out there. They know something. They have lots of wild boar in that area. Oh, that's a little bit alarming. But then again, like I said, they were onto it. I mean, she was apparently only missing or had only been seen half an hour before it was reported. Law enforcement were there straight away. It sounds like they had their helicopter there pretty quickly. So if there were any wild boar in the vicinity of the house, they would have picked them up on FLIR technology straight away. So I would imagine that they've probably completely discounted anything like that as well. That they know something. You just do not scale back a search after only 3 days. It just, I really cannot think of any searches that have been scaled back that quickly. And I mean, there are so many red flags there, not the least of which being the father talking about the child in the past tense. His story of going to the laundromat and going around all these places for lollies and going to the laundromat and, getting lollies and going to the laundromat and, heading home and then turning around the corner to head home, and it's reminiscent of Stephen Stearns. That's a big question. Who outside of the family has seen this child last? Do they have a verified last sighting? Is she on CCTV camera footage somewhere? Because there's a lot of questions about this case. A lot. I mean, I guess we can't completely rule out the possibility of an abduction if she was playing in the front yard. But when you look at the other red flags around this case, it seems highly unlikely. Yeah, camera even. I mean, a lot of people these days do have dash cams. So maybe there's some dash cam footage. Maybe that's why they're dating it back to the 15th, hoping that there'll be some dash cam footage that might help them narrow in their timeline. Because at the moment, their timeline is based only on what they're being told by the family, unless they have footage or unless they have an independent witness, in the time frame leading up. I mean, you just have to look at the Genesis Reed case. She was gone for, 6 weeks before her mother finally reported her missing. So, yeah, that's one of the things they're going to be working on, is trying to narrow down their timeline independently of what the parents are saying. Now, potentially, with the mother being that close to having the baby, if the mother had been to doctor's appointments and had the little girl with her, that might help them with sightings. Yeah, they have said they've got a lot of camera footage. But them asking for anything going back to June 15th certainly makes me think that they really they're wanting to narrow down a timeline. A lot of laundromats probably do have CCTV because obviously of the risk of people trying to steal money from them. And, when you hear someone talking about going to the laundromat, did he come back with laundry? And what was the laundry that he took to the laundromat? Was it bedding? Was it his girlfriend's clothes? Was it Javeahya's clothes? So many questions here. It's going to be really interesting. Well, apparently he left the house at 7, although I think, didn't he say he wasn't quite sure? What I'm going to do, I've got that video again of just his interview, and I'm going to bring that up and just play it straight through again, see if we can pick up a little bit more. It is kind of getting a bit late here, but I want to listen to it again. So let's listen.
Okay,
You wonder if 15th is relevant or just a 2-week time frame. Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. I think, just trying to think with Lilly and Jack, because I think they were looking back about 2 weeks with them as well. Yeah, and was it in a bag or a basket when he went to the laundromat? And was it clothes? Was it bedding? These are important things. But I mean, that is all suspicious as well, because of it's not linear the way he's telling that story. Okay, I'm just going to run this straight through so we can have another listen. Like I said, I'll still go through and tidy it up, but I just wanted to listen to it again, but this time without any interruptions. So I won't pause or comment, I'll just listen.
Okay, I got up around five-ish, and my daughter was outside playing. My girl was out there watching her. She was in and out of the house. I say that, and I was going to get up to wash the clothes. Yeah, what else can I say? I left the house around what, 6, like late 6, maybe like early 7 o'clock. It was probably around like 6, and I got back to the house maybe around 7:15 because my girl and my daughter said they wanted some candy, like she wanted some suckers and she wanted some cookies. And I had went to like three stores maybe in between those times to go get gas, Black Miles, and I got some drinks, like some little Mad Dogs and stuff like that. And when I left and I went back to dry the clothes because I was watching them. I was sitting there for a little minute, and I ended up going to another store. Like these 3 stores that I'm saying, like I sold the 3 stores already, but I went to a store last.
Gotcha.
And I was back at the washing machine that was right beside the Circle K. And then when I was at the Circle K, I was seeing a lot of police and stuff going through, and I was wondering. I was like, a lot of stuff goes on in Aiken to where like you would be like, okay, that's the police or whatever. But I didn't know that it was my house because my girlfriend at the time she didn't have service. She didn't have service on her phone, so she couldn't call me to let me know anything that was going on. So she just ended up calling 911. So when I came back to the house. Before I got on my road, I seen a police truck with a drone out, and then that's when I started speeding up because I was like, it's something going down like close to my house. When I got turned on my road, I seen a whole bunch of police like right at my house. So that's when I hurried up and I got to the house and I was like, what's going on? I thought my girlfriend was in labor because she was supposed to have a baby. You know what I'm saying? Soon. So she ended up having a child that same night on July 1st. But she came up crying to me saying my Javeahya missing. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I kind of freaked out, and the detectives was telling me I couldn't go look and stuff like that because they didn't want me to mess up the area or whatever. But that's basically what happened up until all of this came about.
Okay. Is she known to run away? Like, has there been past issues with that with her? Or is she known to do that?
No, she does not run away. But I will say that she is friendly. Like she's friendly. Like she doesn't. Like, it's not a stranger danger thing where it's not like get away from me. Like, she didn't get that. She didn't understand that. She was just all friendly to everybody. She was very respected. Like, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. Like, that's what she do. We raised her great. Like, she was a real smart kid. That's why, like, they had me kind of, like, messed up. Because they were saying that she was not, like, she's non-verbal and that. Like, yeah, she was saying she's autistic and like that was like the media was like messing. I don't want to cuss, but that was messing my head up a little bit because they don't even have a good description of my child to try to describe her.
What's a good? Is she autistic or is she on the spectrum at all? Is that true?
She was on the spectrum when she was born, but they said that she couldn't be tested until she was 4 years old.
Okay, so it's on. You guys just don't know.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. We never got her tested, and she's never given us signs that she is, autistic. She talks good. She's like very like she's talk better than me. She got more respect than me.
Understood. So you guys have no idea what could have happened to her.
I have no clue. Sir, I don't like. It's really wild, but I had gave all of these detectives this information about people snooping around the house lately. Like since I started work, like from Friday, Thursday really, but from Friday to Monday, I had to work. I was working night shifts, and every time I left, my girl would like when she would tell me like, oh, it's been people doing this, and then the third round the house they've been called, like they be on the phone with people like around the house like. Just talking and walking real slow and things like that, and like I've been telling them that. But
how are you doing through all of this?
I didn't got.
It's okay.
I didn't got a little bit of it out, but it's like not knowing is killing me. It's killing me, like because like you see stuff like this often, but you don't expect it to be you.
And is the mother, is she your wife?
No, she's not my wife. She was my girlfriend.
Okay. How is she doing?
She's still a little tore, but she's making it. She's trying to stay calm because we just recently had a child. She had to really go in labor early because all the stress that was going down. She had that baby the same night that all of this happened.
And I forgot to unmute again. Again, we get all of this happened as opposed to when she went missing. And really good point. He did not say her name once. It's that distancing language. We've seen this with Daniel, with Lilly and Jack. Did anyone else see it as a bit of a red flag? Yeah, they haven't said how early she went into labour. Like, maybe there's something in an article that says it, but I haven't seen any mention. Yes, I'm good at muting myself. I have a Stream Deck, and Stream Decks aren't cheap to buy. So I bought a Stream Deck over a month ago now, which basically has all the buttons on it, so you can just basically press whatever buttons you need while you're on your computer, and you don't have to find everything. I'm still trying to learn how to use it though. Yes, none of his reactions are typical. So many red flags in what he's saying. Just wondering if it was before or after the 911 call. It sounds like she went into labour after the baby was reported missing, after Javeahya was reported missing, I think. From what I've read, she wasn't in labour beforehand. I think she went into labour after because of the stress of it. When he's talking about her, not being non-verbal and how, she hasn't got the stranger danger thing, but he also slides into talking about her being respectful, and it's yes ma'am, no ma'am. Again, it could be a regional thing, but to me, when I hear someone talking about a 4-year-old in those terms, it makes me a little bit nervous, because a 4-year-old should be going yes ma'am, no ma'am. To me, that makes me think of extreme discipline. But like I said, I could be just reading it wrong, because I may not know, the locality, the culture. He doesn't sound distressed. And what he does too, there is one point where, in that interview with Daniel, and he does that fake crying thing where he puts his hand up over his face, and he lifts his hand and peers under his hand to check and see if the fake crying is working. I could picture this guy doing that, because he has this one moment where it's like he goes, I need to sound emotional here. And he just has this brief moment where he sounds a little bit emotional, and then it's gone. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, when I'm not doing live streams, when I do pre-recorded videos, I love looking at linguistics and stuff like that, and doing, proper speech analysis. It's harder when I'm doing a live stream, especially if I don't have a transcript in front of me. Because normally if I'm doing it on a video, I'll backtrack and I'll listen. I like to also use, body language as well, facial expressions, etc. Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking, because it is. I mean, we're talking South Carolina, so it could just be a regular thing of, just the way of saying it. So, yeah, I could be reading into too much of that. Oh yeah, that four-wheeler with Lilly and Jack's case. It was raining. It should have been muddy. It really should have been. Yeah, Tressa, I was gonna do this as a pre-recorded one, but then by the time I'd pulled all the clips together, I realised it was something that I just wanted to talk out with people. Especially this interview with the father, because I've got so many questions. The 15-minute thing, he went out looking for whatever, went to the laundromat or something, and then he went home 15 minutes later, and then he went out again. That's odd to me, because it's not like he went out and then she rang him and said, "Oh, can you come back and get me something," or something like that, because he said she couldn't ring him because there's no phone reception. So you were raised that way, Deborah. So it's just normal, the yes ma'am, no ma'am kind of thing? Yeah, he went to at least 3 stores. He went to the laundromat, and he went back and forth from the laundromat a few times. Like I said, it's very reminiscent of Stephen Stearns when he's talking about, if any of you followed that case, and I will be coming back and doing some Maddie live streams. Stefan's like, well, we were heading towards the school, but it was really early. We were going to go to Macca's, but she decided she wasn't hungry, so we left again, and I doubled back, and then I went back to Macca's, and yeah, I turned here, and then and his story was just all over the place. And that's what this guy reminds me of. The story is just all over the place. It's not linear. It's not something where you can listen to it and visualize what he's telling you. It's not something where, as you can tell, I can't give you a direct recount because I can't visualize it, because it's all over the place. So, that was one of the standouts for me. In terms of Misty Crosland, I've never heard of that case, so I'm going to have to look that up. I've heard of Haley Cummings, and I'm glad that you mentioned it, because I was sorting through notes yesterday and just transferring notes onto, like, more permanent things for filing, because with cases like this, I find it helps if I put all my notes onto one sheet, so that if there's a period of time between, like, say, with Melody's case, for example, Melody Buzzard, while we're waiting for all the court stuff to continue along, it's easy to forget details of the case. So I've got like a little file that all my cases go into. And I was going through notes yesterday, and I saw Haley Cummings written in my notes, and I'm like, I know that name. Why do I know that name? Why have I written that name? So thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, it's double speak. And welcome in, Deirdre. It's double speak. It's all over the place. Not linear. Not logical. And even just, yeah, his description of his reaction to heading back to the house and saying that he saw all the police cars, so he thought it must be that his girlfriend was in labour. That's not going to be your first thought when you see police cars, because you're not going to expect police cars for someone going into labour. You're going to see police cars and think something really bad has happened. Oh, so Misty Crosland was Haley Cummings' mother or stepmother? I have to look it up. I'll definitely have to look it up. You've got me very interested now. Yeah. Why all the running around? Yeah, oh, cool. Okay. I'll just make a note there and I will check. Nancy Grace is pretty thorough. Bianca Jones is also... Misty was only 17. Wow. I'm just laughing at Amira snoring. Well, that's the other thing too. It's like the girlfriend's really close to having a baby and he's driving all around town. I mean, if it's the sort of place where you can drop off your laundry and come back, given how close to having the baby she was, wouldn't you just go drop off the laundry at the laundromat, head back home, maybe help her get the little 4-year-old into bed, and then go pick up the laundry and come back? It was probably about 20 years ago. Yeah, I'll definitely have to look into it. It's not very often that I come across old cases that I've not heard of. When I had more time, I used to listen to pretty much everything that Emma Kenny put out, and Kendall Ray, and they've covered a lot of these cases. Although I've noticed with Emma Kenny now, she's covering a lot of rather disturbing cases, ones that I probably wouldn't be quite so comfortable listening to. I think there's a lot of red flags with this case. But for them to be scaling it back after only 3 days, that says a lot. And I think it also suggests that they've got a lot. Because you would have to be pretty damn confident to scale back a search for a 4-year-old child after day 3. You would have to be really confident in the direction of the investigation. I've not seen any other family members come out. It's only this father that I'm aware of that's spoken. It sounds like nobody from the community that actually knows them has come out and spoken. Yep, that's what it is. Recovery and evidence collection. And I think they might have been onto it pretty quickly, because he mentioned that they wouldn't let him back in the house when he got back. Something about not wanting him to get in the way or disturb evidence or something like that. Yeah, one neighbour said they didn't know there was a child there. This is actually the bio father. So this is different from other cases in that sounds like both these adults are biological parents of Javeahya. Usually, more often than not, you have a step parent. That's not to say that it doesn't happen. Yes. Whoops. True. Wakes up before work, does laundry because Mrs. didn't, runs chores. My question would be, does he normally do the laundry though? How often do we see these cases where something happens and, hey, we've got to do some laundry now? I mean, it could also be nervousness with the way he was talking. But when you have a timeline that's not linear, when you have someone talking about a child in past tense, when you have someone not mentioning the child's name once, yeah, I had pictures from Google Earth that I considered showing, but I wanted to be 100% certain that I had the right house because I didn't want to just randomly show someone else's house. And it doesn't appear, that entire street, there doesn't appear to be fences between the properties. And proximity of houses, they really do look close together. Like you could sit outside your front door and chat with your neighbour who's sitting outside their front door or their back door without having to raise your voice. Yeah, let's just have another look at these pictures. It doesn't show how close the neighbours are, but what it doesn't show, there's no chook run out the front of the house for starters. It's just like this around the side of the house. Dog kennels, it looks like maybe the chooks just run free in the area. Couple of old pallets, discarded children toys. And then this other one. Like, this is not what I was expecting when they're talking about her outside in the chook pen with the chooks. I think maybe the media got the wrong end of the stick with that. Maybe the chooks just run free in the yard, I don't know. I don't know. Are the kennels, are the dog kennels, the chicken coops? Yeah, there's that massive burn barrel right there with a burn stick sticking out of it, like something's been burnt in there and pushed down into it and then burnt some more. Massive rubbish pile up the back there. Yeah, there's so much more that I want to know about this case. So much more. So many answers that we need, I think. Well, not I think, I know. I mean, I would like to hear from the mother. And I realise that, having just had a baby, she's probably not going to be coming out and talking to the media. Not in a hurry. but certainly there are unanswered questions. I wonder if they live in an area that doesn't have trash pickup. That's quite possible. Because, I mean, in these areas that don't have trash pickup, quite often do have burn barrels where they shove everything in. You live in rural Tennessee and almost everyone has them. Yeah, I think when you look at the area, I think a lot of the houses probably do. Okay, Amira is making me yawn now. Oh, yeah. I've got to learn to start calling them chickens, not chooks. Yeah, a chicken is a chook. We call them chooks here in Australia. And I forget that that's not a universal thing. I forget that it is not widely known language. I will probably learn very quickly with this case. But yes, a chicken is a chook. See, I don't even know that I'm saying things like with Australianisms a lot of the time until someone asks me, "What are you saying?" I was talking about something to do within the arvo, and people are like, "What the heck is arvo?" And I'm like, "Afternoon." It's like we can't help it. We do speak differently here in Australia. We are unique. We're on an island. On that note, I've been live for 2.5 hours. I think it's definitely headed up towards my bedtime. And I don't think I've even done a thumbnail or anything for tomorrow morning's live stream, which I probably need to do before I go to bed, because knowing me, I will crawl out of bed with barely any time to get organised in the morning, and then I'll be chasing my tail. So it's probably a good time for me to wrap it up. I'm definitely going to be following this case because I've got questions that need answering. 7 a.m. there. Wow, it's 10 o'clock here. So not late. Except for the fact that I tend not to sleep much these days. So this time of night, my ADHD medications have worn off. So my body's trying to tell me I'm tired, even though when I go to bed, I'll be wide awake. I should. There are some really, really good bogan slang videos. Now I think I will aim for maybe a Sunday night chill, where we just do a bit of a relaxation kind of, just not really covering any specific case, just doing a lot of yakking, a lot of talking, and I should find a good bogan. That Jimmy guy, I can't think of his name. There's that Jimmy comedian who's all over, who's on a few different platforms. 250th anniversary. That's pretty cool. Happy 4th of July for people. Thanks for coming in, everyone. It is definitely my bedtime. Once I finish my preparation for tomorrow morning's live stream, probably. Happy 4th of July to bit of Aussie Man. I'm not sure if I've come across Aussie Man. I have to send me a link, or I'll see if I can find it when I'm lying in bed not sleeping tonight. Thanks for coming in. Remember to hit the like button on your way out. That always helps. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. If you're watching on replay, please leave a comment. I think that's about all. Thanks, and I'll catch you all in the next one.